Hi everybody, welcome to 2OG's Hooking and Stitching Island Style. I'm Antionette and I'm your host for the day. This is going to be a tutorial, trying a little new setup. The boom arm came in for my tutorials, so I'm using my short tripod. See how that works. We're going to be doing the joining of the blocks. I'm on my last column, and then I'll block them, and then we'll do a tutorial about joining the columns, and then of course we will do our border around the Afghan, and it's done. Oh, praise Jesus. Been a long time coming. I've been trying to get a lot of these big projects done because I have so many works in progress, so I want to get some of them moved to finished objects. This morning I took the time and I tore apart the waistband on the elf coat. That was 27 rows of Tunisian knit stitch with a yarn that grabs on itself, the King Cole Riot, DK Riot. That was lots of fun, but I got it out, and I'm 30 rows, less than 30 rows, and the hood's finished. So I'm going to finish the hood, sew it onto the top, because I showed you in the last video, which for the second time is trying to upload, I disconnected the top from the skirt, and I'm very possibly going to one by one unjoin the panels and rejoin them, because I do not like how they look. So yeah, a lot of work that I'm undoing, but I'd rather have it done right because it'll bug me the whole time. I just don't like the way the panels joined and how loose the seams are, and it's just the nature of the Tunisian stitch and the way the end stitches are on the Tunisian. Had I known what I know now, I would have gone down a couple of hook sizes, which is what I'm going to do when I redo the waistband, because it was so big on me. I made a large thinking I needed a large. So actually I only needed to do a medium, but that's fine. Regina put out a tutorial on decreasing and making the waist smaller, so that's one of the reasons that I ripped out all the waist rows. So I'm put everything else aside, and I'm working pretty much steadily on the elf coat to try and get it finished. So once it's finished, the Juliet, if you look behind me over here, my Juliet top's hanging on the door. It's done, and when I do my whips and finished object video for next week, I'll show more of it. And I've been waiting for the right kind of weather to be able to do my fashion show for y'all. I just couldn't face putting some of those on in 98-degree weather. Been a little bit warm for some of them because some are wool, but it's cooling down a little bit. They're coming tomorrow to put the lay the rock down, mark the pool out for the pool. So by this time next week, it should be up. Would have been nice to have had it this week in the heat. I mean, I like the heat, but Barb and hubby don't like the heat. They had the air conditioning on. So other than that, I'm going to switch over to this camera, and we're going to do the tutorial. So I will see you at the craft table. Hi everybody. Okay, this is the tutorial for joining the blocks of the Leisure Arts 63 block Heirloom Afghan that we've been working on for the past year. For this tutorial, you're going to need your tapestry needle, your main color yarn, a pair of scissors. I have the pattern book here because I make sure that I'm doing column 6. That's the last column I have to do, and I'm lining my blocks. I did the first two blocks. Block 29 and block 58 are done together. So my next block will be block 57, and I have mine off to the side here. This is block 57. And then what I do is I go to the pictures. Okay, and the reason I go to the pictures is I want to make sure I'm attaching it going the right way. So 57 is here. This is block 57, and this is the alternate mesh stitch. So I just make sure I have it on the, and mine are all on the right side because I still have my papers attached. So this is going the right way, so I'm going to turn it this way because that's how I'm going to sew it. So I'll put that off to the side. Now I haven't sewed in a lot of my ends, so as I'm getting ready to sew the blocks together, I just tidy up my ends a little bit. And all I do for that is I come here and I just weave it in. I go that way, and I come back, and I go back under, and one more, and I pull it through, and then I just cut it off. Now you'll see that I have the end still from when I did my joining seam, and that's okay because I'll crochet those in when I'm joining them together, or I'll sew them in as I'm going along. Now I am using the mattress stitch. I call it the zipper stitch, and when we start doing it you'll see why I call it zipper stitch. But if you look here, it's a seamless join on both sides. This is the right side. If you look, you can see it's a seamless join. There's no ridges. And if you look on the wrong side, it's the same thing. There's no ridges. It's a seamless join. So I'm just going to fold this over a little bit here. I'll zoom the camera in a little bit for when I go to do the join here. Now, the blocks don't always line up. I'll put it back out again for you. The blocks don't always line up perfectly, but I make them match up as I am going down and I'm doing my stitch. So all I do is I thread my needle, and I take off some yarn, and I start up here. Now I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I start up in the corner here. So what I do is I come through and I leave a little bit of a tail. You need to leave it because you're going to pull your zipper closed, and it'll make more sense once we get into it. Then I go back down to the next stitch so I can come up on this side here with the needle. So this will bring them together. So my corners are matched up. So let's see, before we put this in, let's see if this will focus. A little bit too close. Okay. So you take your needle and you're going to go from the left to the right side. Find your stitch, your V, and go under both legs of the V. And just pull your yarn. Don't pull it tight. Just pull it enough that you match your sides up. Then you go right to the stitch across from it and do the same thing. And you're going from, when you're coming from the left, you go left to right, and you're going, when you come to the stitch, the block on your left side, you're going from right to left under the V of your edge stitch. Come back over here under both legs. Same thing, and you keep doing this. I go about halfway down and then I zip. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Just keep coming down. I'm just gently pulling it, not tight. You don't want to pull it tight yet because when you go to zip, it's going to tighten up on itself. And you just keep going down, matching your stitches up. Now, if by chance your block's not matching up perfectly, when you get down towards the other end, you can kind of stretch your block out to get it to match, and it will match up. Because I had a few blocks that weren't exactly perfect, which none of us are perfect. And I just keep coming down. So we're going to do this halfway down the block, and then we'll do the next step in the mattress stitch. I like the stitch for this even when I'm doing sweaters and things that I have to seam, because it is there's no ridge, particularly in garments. There's no ridge. And I use this for knitting and crocheting, both. And you just take your time. No rush. When I was doing the other columns, I had done so many that I had to take a break because my left wrist was killing me just from this motion, and I had to go work on something else because it's just a type of motion, repetitive motion. Because sometimes what I do is I'll do this, then I'll come like this with my left hand. I'll just use one hand, but I'm using two for the tutorial. Okay. We've come. I'm going to zoom this out because you're going to need to see the whole thing of what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm just going to lay this down. You're going to grab this end of your yarn, and you're going to grab this end of your yarn, and you're going to pull at the same time. And watch what happens. It's magic. You pull, and it zips right up. Look at that. And it's snug. And you can snug up on it a little bit more. Just, you can give it a little pull. Just don't pull too tight. Just enough that you can see that there's no give in a stitch. And then you just move your blocks up, and you continue on down your block. I usually, like I said, I usually do 2 zips, about halfway down, so I'm not pulling. And give the yarn a tug. You're going to feel the yarn stretch out. That's okay, but don't pull so tight that you bunch up your blocks. And you can, once this is all done, I'll show you how you straighten it out. Make sure it's just nice and even. But you don't have to be real gentle, but don't get crazy with it, because you will break, depending on what kind of yarn you use. You don't want to break your yarn. And if you do, just pull it out and start over again. And then we come like this. Come like that. Come like this. And like this. I said I'll be glad. I'll do a couple blocks with you, so you get the idea. And just make sure you have your pattern beside you. Just make sure your blocks are going in the right way. Most of mine, when I put the tag on them, the tag's on the right side, and so when I look at it and I'm reading the tag, that it's facing the right direction that I need to put it into the column. In other words, when I'm looking at it, it's the way it's supposed to be in the blanket. And then the big thing is going to be blocking, because the next tutorial I'll do, I will show you how I'm going to block the columns before I sew the blanket together. I still haven't decided the join I'm going to use. I mean, you can use this join, but I was thinking of possibly maybe doing a decorative between the columns. I haven't decided yet. I might, experiment and see how it works out. Or I might just use my whip stitch here, or excuse me, mattress stitch. Whip stitch is totally different. That leaves a ridge. And see how it just be a seamless join on the whole blanket. And I don't go all the way down to the bottom of the last block. I just take it to just barely above the corner. Okay, I leave myself a little bit open here. Excuse me. Drop my needle. This time now you're just gonna just hold the top, like put your hand down here about where you finish zipping, and pull, and you'll watch. Let's see if I can zoom it in here. You can see as I'm zipping it what happens. Okay, I'm gonna pull. See how it zips itself shut? And then I just pull my block, and that's nice and smooth. And then I just come down here and I finish up. Now these ones here I'll pull a little bit tighter because they're my last couple of stitches that I've got to do. And then when I just flip it up like this. I come from the front to the back, pull, and then I just lock my stitch in. And all I do is I just go from one block to the other. And then I run it through my loop there. And I knot it down, just like that. Cut my yarn. And that is your seam. Just like that. And when I block it, this will all, because it's getting stretched out from just me pulling on that. But if you look, it's a nice flat join for your blocks. So I've got 1, 3, so we've got 2, 4, I got 5 more blocks to join, and every column is joined. So I have 14 minutes into this video. If anybody has difficulty with this, you can message me and I will gladly go over it with you. But that is the mattress stitch. So I'll do one more block. My next block is the box shell stitch. And I've looked at my pattern, and I know that the block shell stitch goes this way. I always get a little piece of my hair in my knitting or crocheting. A little piece of me always goes with my crocheting. And I'll get my yarn. And I'll thread my yarn. No, I didn't sew this end in. Oh well. I'll just tuck it behind there for now. I'm going to come through under both the V. Pull that through. Match it up. Go behind. So I can come back up through here. That way it's not crossing. Everything's coming from the back. I just pull this a little bit just to line myself up, and I start coming down the V's. See, and you don't even really have to have it real tight. Okay, this one here I'll do a little looser so you can see what I mean by zipping it up. I hope everybody's enjoying doing the blanket. Pretty soon we're going to start. I'm trying to get this done because I need to start on the blocks for the topsy-turvy tri-stitch along, which is going to be an ongoing project, skill building, technique building project. It's to help those that don't knit, maybe learn a little bit of knitting, people that don't know how to do Tunisian, do a little bit of Tunisian, and maybe a knitter that doesn't know how to crochet. So probably be a lot of fun. There's been a lot of activity over on the Facebook group. People have been showing their finished objects. And I did a live once over there And try to do a live on YouTube, but there's so many people that have lives going on. That's why it's probably easier for me to do it in my Facebook group, or we get on a Zoom. A couple more stitches and then we'll go ahead and zip. Now you want to make sure you put enough yarn so you're only doing it in one piece of yarn, that you're not going to put a break in the middle of your blanket. And you'll notice it will stretch out when you go to zip, which gives you usually plenty of yarn. Okay, tuck it under there, out of the way, almost halfway, and we'll do the zip. Just watching the time on my camera before it runs out. Okay, there, here, come over here, and then I'm going to zip. Okay, I just pulled my needle off for now. Okay, so I've got a hold of my yarn here. I've got a yarn here, and we'll zoom in so you can watch it zip. Okay, there we go. Now it's clear. I got here and you got up here. Even tension, and just pull from both directions at the same time, and it zips, and you'll feel it resistance come, which means it's tight enough. Okay, thread my needle. Here. And we finally got relief from the heat today. Actually, I find it rather cold. I'm a 90-degree person. I like the hot weather, which in my house they all like the cooler weather. I'll pull this up here so you can see what I'm doing. Like I said, there's a lot of tutorials out there on how to join that are a whole lot more professional and probably better explained than what I do. But I'm just showing you how I do it. I've tried so many different joins. That is one of the reasons why I am deconstructing the elf coat, because I don't like how the joins are, which is a lot of work. But if you're not happy with something and it's going to bug you, you might as well fix it. Okay, we're almost done here. Okay, you can see, if you look here, you can see like these aren't exactly matching up. So all I do is I just pull down a little bit on my purple block, the block that's not matching up, and then I just match my stitches up. So basically what you're doing, you're just stretching your stitch a little bit just to get it, until you get it. Yes, I'm doing it one-handed. I do this one-handed a lot. And that's why I had such a sore wrist. Okay, a couple more stitches and then we'll do the final zip. On this, oops, I should give myself a little bit more yarn for joining, but I'll get some once I do the zip. It's going to stretch a little bit. Okay, I'm going to place my hand here, which is about where I finished zipping the first one, and then I'm going to pull, and I just give a little tug, make sure all my seams are tight, but you see there's no pulling on it, and then I'm going to finish up and close my block off, and it will be done. The arm wants to split. Okay. One here. One here. One there. And then we'll come around to the back here, under both legs. Pull them together. Tie the blocks together back here. Pull. Now we're going to loop. And I just pulled here. I put my needle through. I just pull, tug. Leave myself about a 2 or 3 inch tail. Excuse me. And that is the mattress stitch. That's 4 blocks. 4 left to go. 1, 2, 4, 5, because there's 9 blocks per column. 7 times 9, 63. So that is that block there, and my next one will be my picot. So I hope this tutorial helped you. If this is the join you want to use, if you have another join that you prefer to use, then by all means feel free to do what makes you feel comfortable and what you want to do. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking with me through this process of doing this crochet along. I know some people are just now starting their blankets, but that's okay. There's no pressure here for any crochet along or make along we ever do. Everything is always at your leisure. So until next time, remember, hug, smiles, and happiness, and pass it on. Make the world a better place. And if you have any questions or need more tutorials done on blocks, put them in the comments and I will try to accommodate you. Until next time, bye for now from Deer Island. See you in the next video.